I'm going to share with you 7 genius tips to just really maximize the storage in your van conversion and make sure that you're using every available space that you have for either storage or just something useful or just space to actually move around. It's all about efficiency in space. This isn't just about storage, it's about making sure that you're only using the space you need for storage so that you have as much space as you also need to live in. Because this is a really enclosed space, everything is precious. What I love about my van build is it's not a cramped, over-furnished build, and yet I have a huge amount of space to keep my stuff. So I'm going to show you all the clever ways that I've found to work around awkward areas, and then we'll cover the mistakes that I see other people making and how to plan ahead to avoid making them too. I thought a lot about the layout and the storage that I'd build to give me a spacious yet practical home on wheels. Let's start with making the most of your built drawers and units. So think about maximizing the cubic space within your drawers and cupboards, especially if you're doing drawers. Let me show you what I mean and we do some maths. So let's imagine you just have a shape unit that looks a bit like this. One way to go about doing this is to use like construction framing wood, so either like 2x4s or planed like squared pieces or whatever you want to use. You sort of build out the frame and then you fill it in with your different pieces, and you put your panels on the outside, you put your drawers on the inside, etc. Right? That's one option. Another way of doing it is to use a thicker plywood. So I've used 18mm ply for my kitchen, for example. The reason being that 18mm is thick enough for you to put your pocket holes through, so you can still do really sturdy construction without needing a thicker piece of wood. Putting those side by side, you can see already how much space is left in between that construction. Obviously this is just a guide. I've also shown the more drawers you want, the less space you're actually going to have overall, because you're still using those extra spaces and taking that out of your space. And just using the dimensions in my little drawing here, the first one I've only actually got 54% of that usable space, and in the second one that's higher, that's 77, and this is only on the 2D. So if you actually considered the depth as well, this would be even more dramatic. So you can see just how your construction and your timber choices can really influence how much space you have within that unit area that you've blocked off to use for storage. I would actually like to invite you to go one step further than this and actually build your drawers around any obstacles that they may face. I've got a sink up here, but I've got a drawer here, I've got a drawer here. The plumbing for the sink, which ends around there, actually comes down to here once you factor in all the pipe work and the U-bend and all of that jazz. So I didn't want to sacrifice that. I still wanted to use as much as I could, and I'll show you what I've done. So in this top drawer, it's a really funny little shape, but you know, it works so well. So the sink ends there. To the left of that, we've got the entire height. So we've got bottles up in here, gin, wine, olive oil, kitchen roll, all that stuff that just needs that bit of height. It's actually really hard to find space for that in a van build, if I'm honest with you. So all of this space here is lower than the sink, and that goes straight underneath, and you can see the drain pipe over there. And this just starts to the right of it, missing all of that pipe work, and that drawer below also has the same thing. So we just cut out the back here, we've made a little hole, and then we've boxed off this area so that I know anything in that can't go above that height, and this slides straight around that pipe, and this one just fits in and around that whole sink area. My next tip is also to set the height of the drawers for what you're actually going to put in them. So for this tall one here, I measured the height of the tallest wine bottle that I had, and I made sure that it fit in here. For this one down here, I've made it to the height of a tin can. So this drawer is essentially my pantry, and everything in here is like the same height, right? Like I know that any jars, tins are all going to fit in the space, so the rest can kind of make do. But I'm using the whole height of this drawer. If I made this like an inch taller, in order to make this one and this one the same height, then I would have had like an inch of dead space. And I know that doesn't seem like much, but when you apply this across the entire build, you gain so much back. So as you can see, the height of the drawers is not even, especially the top one, not even at all. And I was originally going to go for a pantry drawer to the side because I thought it would look cute. And then I realised that that's added another division, that's sectioning off another area, all of that space that makes the division I've lost. Add on the space for the brackets for the runners, add on the space for the sides of the drawers, and then you've lost all of that up the entire width of your area. So I've got absolutely as much as I possibly could kept in this area. For my next trick, I'm going to show you the extra storage that I've put in this bench seat here. So this is mainly my electricals. I've got my battery, inverter, all the other bits like the solar MPPT, the battery charger, the mains charger, fuse box, all the wires, bus bars, yada yada yada. That's all in here. And I dedicated this whole unit for that, not knowing how much space it would need, needing sort of options to place things wherever. And then I had some space left over and I was like, okay, what can I do with this? Can't exactly put a drawer in here. Didn't really make sense for a cupboard, just for the access, but the top opens so I can get access to the electricals. So let me show you this really cool box that my dad made to put in this space. So I do need to remove all the cushions to get in. Okay, so when I open up this, you can see we've got this storage thing in here. Some electricals are mainly mounted on the wall behind, and then I've got a battery down here. The inverter's on the floor down here, but I had all this height that I wanted to make use of somehow. If I pull the whole thing out, you can see how we've designed it to go over the inverter and still leave it space underneath for it to have that heat dissipation that it needs. So the inverter sits here underneath, that I've still managed to use all of this space above, and then this is what's hidden underneath the next section. So basically, you know, if you just put a basket in here, you'd be looking at like that much room. But we've got all of this, and then there's a little notch on the floor to keep it from moving around. So yeah, if you've got an awkward space, make an awkward box. And the beauty of this is it's the size that I need it to. I haven't got to go out and try and find a basket that fits in the space. I did do that, I didn't find one. That's why we ended up doing this. It uses as much space as I have to use, whilst leaving enough room for all the electrical components to have the breathing space, the ventilation that they need. And by putting it out, I can still access those if we ever need to do any maintenance on the system. So what I keep in here is things that are useful, but I don't need them all the time. So it's got like sawdust for the compost toilet, my laundry bag, stuff I don't need every day, but I do need. My next tip, never block off a space, even if it's hard to get to. Because again, there's always something that you can keep there that you might need occasionally. As long as you don't have to get to it every day, you can go somewhere that's a bit harder to reach. So we built this whole bulkhead from scratch. There's a whole video on how we did it. But the way that the seats are angled in the van, they're like this. So when you build a wall, you've got like all this space below, and they're actually raised. So it's like this really big triangle of space underneath that you could just box up and just lose. And it's a lot of space, and I didn't want to lose it, so that's why there's cupboards at the bottom. And we'll get to this in the next stage, but what I want to show you right now is that this space obviously sits behind the seats the entire width of the van. We've blocked this area behind here with the kitchen, but I haven't blocked it off. I've got shoes down here, but the shoes that I don't wear every day, that I might need for an occasion or something, or maybe out of season, they were down the side, and this goes all the way back basically to the end, right? So I can keep a lot of stuff down there. So every little space that you think, oh, that's going to be blocked off, find a way to keep access to it and use it for the less regular use items. Like the way the seats go, I'll see if I can find a picture, but like they come down and then there's this like step, there's like a space underneath. So, you know, obviously I don't want to lose that either. So my bottom one is quite a bit deeper than the top one because we've kind of set that shelf for where that angle changes. So we've just really built around every little curve, every little change of depth that the van already had. So let's measure it and see. This top one is 14 centimeters, and that doesn't sound like much, but like it's wider than, like far wider than all of my shoes, which fit in there comfortably. So I got loads of shoes in there. And the bottom one, that's 23 centimeters up to this beam that I have here to stop things like falling out and opening the door. So again, like I can fit not only my little bins here, but also my little stool behind, several layers of shoes. This is a considerable space because it goes, again, the full width of the van. So I've got another cupboard behind me here, I've got a double one there. This space obviously goes all the way down to the other end. And it would have been really easy to just box that off and lose it entirely. But no, use every little space. So you see that by having that different tiered system with the shelves at different heights, I've managed to like get another nearly 10 centimeters here, and that's made that bottom compartment so much more valuable than if I'd just done a straight wall down and lost that extra bit here, which would have been really easy to do. If you want to see more of how we actually did this and what goes behind it, check out the bulkhead build video. You can see all the stages of how we built this section with the different shelves, the different levels and what's behind it. It's obviously going to vary depending on what kind of van you've got, but for the Peugeot Boxer, this is a really good way of getting a bit of extra storage space in your build. There's another place I've used that same kind of tactic of having a split shelf where you've got an angled back, and that is in the overhead cabinets. So the last four are all clothes and they're just kind of stuffed all the way back using all of the space. Actually no, the last one is shelves, but this one is also shelves, so I can show you up here. So the back of this shelf is angled, right? It's deeper at the bottom and it's shallower at the top. I'll do the measurements again in a second. Not only does having a shelf to split the space make it much more versatile for you to keep things like boxes and bags and whatever without them all sort of piling up and falling out, but it also makes it much easier to use different size things. So, oh, I hope it's tidy. Yeah, it's okay. So in here, like I've got this size basket on the bottom, which fits basically perfectly, and then I've got a smaller one at the top. So you can just find different like sized boxes and bags and baskets and all sorts of things. It will just fit in the different spaces. Okay, so the top is about 10.5 inches, which is 27 centimeter, and the bottom is around 13 inches, 33 centimeters. Because remember, this isn't just about the storage, it's about using the least space possible to build things, anything, so that you have as much space left over as you possibly can to move in, to live in. Like, this is such a small area in total, and I really can't emphasize enough how important it is to be able to move your limbs around and just stretch your arms out. Like, I see so many builds that have just crammed in everything, and you know, you think that's really useful because you've got all this storage space and you've got all these useful utilities and facilities and whatever, gadgets and whatnot, and that's great, but if you're living in it, you don't want to be living in a cupboard or what feels like a cupboard. So being really efficient with your storage, it just improves your quality of life. So however much stuff you have, you still have some stuff. The least amount of space that you need to build to contain that stuff, the more it leaves for you to just live in. And that is so important in a small space. What I'm saying is, the van, you're starting off with a base that is not square. Now that's saying about having something fast, good, or cheap. And you want all three, but you can only ever have two. I feel like there's a lot of, you know, lower quality pro builders who are just churning out cheap vans because they're fitting in square furniture. So they're going to give it to you cheap and they're going to give it to you quick, but they're not going to do the best job because they're going to have lost so much storage in just boxing things off. So if you're not starting with a square base, then you've got to build things that aren't square to go in that space. It's easy for me to say this now I've finished my build, because this was kind of nightmarish mid-build, just trying to contend with angles and things everywhere. But honestly, it was worth the effort, it was worth the stress of trying to make something fit around an awkward shape. So check out my little laundry storage here. So this is the back of my bench seat, which is angled for comfort. And there's this kind of platform at the back here because the bed slides out to make a double, and this is the support that it slides on. So I just extended that all the way to the end of the bench seat here, and then this has given me all of this basically non-square area to use as storage. This is a great little place for laundry because you can just stuff it in. So little spaces like this are just perfect. Like, nothing has to be square because a lot of what you own isn't square, especially clothes, and you can just shove them in. You could even use this for like clean clothes storage if you wanted to. My next tip is to use all the cab storage as much as you can, because there's actually loads of it. Obviously there's a shelf up here. I built a little door to mine, but the shelf here, it's across the whole van and to the front of the vehicle. It's not particularly tall, but you can get like all sorts of stuff up there. I've got a yoga mat, toilet paper, blankets, backpacks, all kinds of like small stuffable lightweight bits can go up there. There's quite a considerable space. Just make sure that you leave a large enough hatch. I see some people kind of accidentally make this really small, and then it's really hard to use it, especially for these larger items. But actually in and around the seats themselves, there's tons of little storage bits. So let's go have a look at those. Okay, so just in the door, I've got like emergency, like ponchos and stuff. I've also got my basically something awful's happened, it's raining, help me kit. Then in here, I do have a paddleboard, and I don't recommend using this as a space. For me, this is just temporary. I'm actually going to sell it because I never use it. But look, underneath the seats is bags of space. So I've got under here a great big outdoor rug, right? I've got my tripod if I need that for filming and stuff. I've got some diesel stuff for the system. I've got a fire extinguisher. I've got a jar of like salt for the road. If we go a bit further back, I have a tent. I've got my levelers if I'm on a slope. In the driver's side, I've got even more handy tools. There's a tray fitted underneath the driver's seat, and in that I've got a tow strap. I've got an emergency battery charger and jump leads. And then behind the seat, if you're the only one driving, there's quite a bit of space. My seat's always in this position and I'm short, so it's quite far forward. So I've got all kinds of work stuff here. Like, I've got a high vis and a hard hat. I've got my entire gym bag with all of my wash kit in there, all my gym stuff. I've got underneath there is like a bag of bags. There's quite a bit of space and it goes really deep, so why not use it? I've actually even seen some people removing one or both of the front seats and changing that either into a storage space or like a dog crate or something. Just whatever suits your life, really. Like, I want to have seats to take my friends places, but if you're very much living on your own and you want to stay on your own, like, there's valuable real estate in there to convert it into something that's more usable to you. My next tip is to consider your garage to living space ratio, and also where you're going to find a space to put things like your gas system, your hot water system, your electric system. All of the like utilities need to find a space somewhere. For me, there's kind of half and half. I've got the gas bottle in the garage, but most of it actually is in the living space. So to compensate that, I've actually built a good chunk of my garage space to be accessed from the living space. So I built this cupboard down here, which uses quite a bit of the space in the garage, but I can get to it from the living space. Inside of here, I've got a couple of shelves, I've got my floor safe. This goes back about that deep, I think. And because some of my utility stuff is in this space, having the space here is really valuable to me. Having said that, I still have loads in the boot. Even though it's so much smaller than other builds because I've got this slide out bed, I've got my gas bottle and locker. I've got a folding bike, my hookup cable, water hoses, firewood, a bag of books, my toolbox, and 3 like really big plastic storage tubs stacked on top of each other full of like tools and like other stuff I don't use as often. Sports stuff, wetsuit, spare parts, all sorts of other bits that I might need occasionally or in an emergency. And still, a good chunk of my garage space I can get to from this side, because who wants to live in a tiny home with a huge garage? Not me! Like, storage space for me is far more valuable on this side of the divide. So, on the subject of utilities, there are a number of things you can actually mount outside of the van and save you that space entirely altogether. So I've got underslung water tanks. I've got 90 litres for fresh water, 60 litres for grey water, and they both live underneath the chassis. If you want water tanks, I think it's a really good idea, but do your research on where you're buying them from, because the ones I've got I don't like. I've hit them on so many things and burst them so many times, and I've had to spend so much time and money trying to repair them badly because it's really hard to get to them. So just look into what you're buying and find ones that fit in between the beams and not over the beams. So annoying. You can also have gas underslung, which is only worth doing if you're using gas for heating, but you can do it. It's expensive, but you can do it. You can also mount the diesel heater outside if you want to. I don't know if that's really going to save you as much space compared to your water is the main one. Obviously with water there's the caveat that you might have frozen pipes in the winter. Only happened to me once, but not being in the north in winter does reduce my risk of that happening. But essentially, you can avoid putting a number of things that are large inside the van when you can put them outside, and that takes it out of the space altogether. You haven't got to plan around it at all. If you're struggling to get everything in the van and you've already built it, then swap some items out for travel ones, and that can save you quite a lot of space. The main things that I've done for this is my hairdryer. This one's great, and it also works with my inverter really nicely, doesn't use too much power. And little car bins. These are great actually. I think they're like 10 litres, and I just use like a small bag, and they fit in the little cupboard of the bulkhead that we saw earlier. They're honestly perfect. I've made a few swaps in my kitchen too. I've got stackable frying pans and saucepans where the handle detaches, so they're really like small storage friendly. Nesting mixing bowls, just anything that's basically designed to like be compact is your friend. And it might be worth just spending a little bit of extra money just swapping out some bulky things for smaller versions wherever that helps. I've done it for towels as well actually, because they take up a lot of space. So I bought this like thinner compact towels. And you also may just find that you have more things than you have space for, and honestly just be brutal and get rid of some of it. I promise you don't need everything. The longer I live in my van, the more things I realise I don't actually use this. And if you know what those things are going to be ahead of time, just whack them in a box, take them to a friend's house, family's house, and just say, hey, can you look after these for a while? And if you don't need them, go back and get rid of them. And if you do, take them back again. You know, like, it hasn't got to be gone forever if you're not sure. But I promise you will learn to live with less. Okay, so the mistakes people make, the things everyone forgets. So many people build a van and then think about where they're going to keep things that they already have that they want to take with them. But you need to do this the other way around. So anything that you own that's oversized, long, bulky, weird shaped, figure out during the build exactly where you're going to keep that and make sure that the spaces that you're creating for storage are going to fit them. This might be sports equipment, musical instruments, a Hoover, whatever you want to have with you that won't go in a drawer. Plan a space for it to live. The most awkward things that I have is my ukulele, my projector screen, because it's like this long, and backpacks are surprisingly annoying to find somewhere to keep. and they take up more room than you want them to. The main things that I see loads of people forget to plan for, we've already looked at them, but it's bins, it's shoes, and it's laundry. These are often afterthoughts. Someone moves into the van and they realise they don't have anywhere to keep all of these things. But for me, they're all stuff that I'm using on a daily basis. I need to be able to access them. It needs to be part of my plan for my build. And laundry, I think, is quite easy to catch you out, because when you think about clothes, you think about them clean, right? But the great thing about laundry is that it can be any shape. You can just use whatever space that you've got that's any weird shape and size. I've got my section behind the seat here, but I've also seen where people have done a bed and there's a little bit of space next to it because the mattress doesn't fit all the way to the edge. They've made like a little cupboard, that goes into like a little space, the laundry goes in there. There's usually some little weird shaped area where you can turn that into your laundry hamper. I've recently posted a full tour of my van, so check that out if you haven't already seen it. I've also been building my webpage with links to all the different stuff that I've used to build and live in the van, which I'll talk about in this video. So take your pick, and I'll see you next time. Bye!